I never imagined that a sudden, torrential downpour, one so fierce that it transformed the bustling city street into a rushing river of water, would be the catalyst that sent my carefully ordered life spiraling into the most unexpected direction. One moment, I was merely hustling home under the feeble protection of a battered umbrella that shuddered beneath each gust. The next, a stranger appeared through the curtain of rain, his tall frame cutting a reassuring silhouette against the gray chaos. His umbrella, sturdy and unshakable, seemed like a beacon in the storm, and before I fully registered his presence, he was offering me shelter as though it were the most natural thing in the world. The rain fell in sheets so heavy the city seemed blurred, its lights muted, its sidewalks drowning. My umbrella twisted backward in the wind, leaving me soaked and trembling. For a moment I feared the storm would carry me away. Then he appeared, calm, steady, and holding an umbrella large enough for two. Without a word, he moved beside me, tilting its protective span toward my shivering frame. I stepped under, relief washing over me. Warmth spread not just from escaping the rain, but from the realization that I was no longer alone. We moved in step through the flooded streets, his stride confident, mine uncertain. When lightning flashed, I caught his face, angular, composed, with eyes that seemed both powerful and kind. My pulse raced in a way that had nothing to do with fear of the storm. He guided me toward a café tucked beneath a dripping awning. The brush of his coat against my soaked shoulder carried a strange intimacy. "You must be freezing," he murmured, his accent unplaceable but steady. Pressing a card into my hand, he insisted I go inside. The cafe was warm, its amber lights a balm after the chaos. He ordered 2 lattes with practiced ease, speaking softly to the barista, then joined me at a corner table. Steam rose between us, curling like threads weaving a cocoon around our small world. I shook out my sleeves, embarrassed by the puddles I left behind, but his calm composure steadied me. Our conversation began with small talk, umbrellas, weather, the stubbornness of city life. But quickly it shifted. He asked about my passions. Hesitant at first, I confessed my love for design, for the dream of opening a studio one day. To my surprise, his expression lit with genuine interest. "The world needs more vision like that," he said. Encouragement, simple but rare, settled deep in me. His phone buzzed against the table, the screen glowing briefly, but he ignored it, his attention fixed on me. The choice was deliberate, and it made the air feel heavier, charged. We laughed over a spilled packet of sugar, his hand brushing mine as he swept the mess away. The contact was fleeting, yet electric, sparking through me in ways I couldn't explain. My heart stumbled, torn between disbelief and exhilaration at the significance of a stranger's. Touch time slipped by unnoticed. Outside, the rain pounded the windows, but within, his quiet confidence pulled me in. His questions drew out stories I rarely told, moments of failure, dreams of success, confessions that felt strangely safe with him. When at last I checked my watch, I realized hours had passed. Reluctantly, I gathered my things, the thought of parting strangely heavy. Yet when he stood and offered again to walk me home, I found myself nodding. Together we stepped back into the storm, the umbrella shielding us once more. The city glistened under street lamps, puddles reflecting jagged flashes of lightning. We moved silently until we reached my corner. There, under the flickering glow of a street lamp, he paused. He glanced at his wristwatch, and in that moment, his expression shifted. The warmth that had carried us through the evening gave way to something unreadable. Urgency, maybe conflict. It was as though he carried a secret, pressing against the edges of this chance encounter. My heart lurched as I watched the storm's reflection dance across his watch face, and I realized that this chance encounter was far from random. It was the prelude to a revelation that would upend everything I believed possible for my life. He closed the distance between us in a single stride, his voice catching on the edge of confession, and I braced myself for whatever truth he was about to unveil. The rain continued its tattoo against the pavement, yet in that charged moment, time itself seemed to hold its breath along with me. With the street lamp casting long shadows across his features, I searched his eyes for answers, only to find them brimming with the promise of secrets I was both terrified and desperate to uncover. And as he finally spoke my name, pronouncing it with a resonance that made the night hush around us, I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Under the cafe's dim amber glow, every word between us seemed to carry an electric charge, as if the lamps themselves leaned in to listen. Steam curled from our cups in lazy spirals, wrapping us in a fragile cocoon where the rest of the world, and the storm outside, faded into the background. His voice was calm and measured, but each question he asked seemed to probe deeper than polite curiosity, stirring a restless thrill in my chest. I realized, with a flutter of both excitement and apprehension, that this encounter was already reshaping my sense of possibility. The cafe hummed softly, with the hiss of steam and the murmur of late-night voices, yet it felt as though we occupied our own world. I fumbled, knocking over my cup in my nervousness, coffee spilling across my sketches. Humiliation burned in me, but he was quick, blotting the mess with deft movements. His thumb brushed mine, an accidental spark that sent a shiver through me. "Let me," he said, his smile free of judgment, only kind. I opened my portfolio, the leather edges worn from years of use. He leaned in, tracing the embossed cover before asking to see my favorite piece. I showed him a watercolor series, autumn streets, golden leaves swirling, lamplight halos glowing on cobblestones. He studied each detail intently, asking how I blended pigments, how I captured the hush before snowfall. His questions felt less like interrogation and more like affirmation. For once, my work mattered. Encouraged, I confessed my dream: to open a design studio, to merge art and architecture into spaces that touched people's lives. He listened closely, nodding. "The world needs vision like that," he said, his tone steady but filled with conviction. Those simple words stirred something powerful within me. His phone buzzed, screen glowing briefly. He silenced it without looking, tucking it away as though dismissing the world beyond this table. I stared, curious, then dared to ask, "Is everything okay?" For a moment, his gaze drifted to the rain-streaked windows. "Just commitments," he replied. His smile returned, warm but thin, unable to hide the tension in his shoulders. I sensed layers behind his calm exterior, obligations heavy enough to shadow even this moment. To break the weight of silence, I spoke of lighter things: favorite cafes tucked in side streets, the music I played when inspiration struck, the beauty of rain sliding down glass. His laughter filled the room, rich and genuine. It soothed me, yet I felt the presence of unspoken truths lingering, like storm clouds beyond the horizon. He asked about challenges I'd faced, and I admitted one night when rejection nearly broke me, a gallery dismissing my work as too ambitious. His expression softened. He leaned closer, his voice steady. "Ambition is not something to apologize for. It's a declaration." The words struck deep, dissolving old doubts. In his gaze, I wasn't just a barista with a sketchbook. I was someone capable of shaping the world. Emotion welled in me, gratitude for being seen so clearly. Yet as quickly as that warmth settled, his phone buzzed again. This time he let it vibrate, face unreadable as the screen glowed. He didn't move to answer, but I could feel the weight of what he wasn't saying. His world pressed against the edges of ours, demanding entry, yet he kept it locked away. I studied him, torn between awe and curiosity. Who silences calls with such ease, as though the obligations of an empire can be ignored for an evening. He carried mystery like a second skin, one that both frightened and fascinated me. When I press him gently about the nature of the commitments he keeps hiding, his eyes flicker with conflicted emotion, and he leans back, steepling his fingers as if preparing to make a life-altering confession. The rain hammers against the cafe windows, echoing the rapid drum of my heart as I realize that the secret he guards could change everything I've just begun to believe about myself. He opens his mouth to speak, but pauses, glancing toward the door as though wary of unseen listeners, then fixes his gaze on me with unwavering intensity. "There are things you don't know," he whispers, voice low enough that the barista polishing glasses nearby remains oblivious. In the electric silence that follows, I brace myself for the hidden world about to unfold, and wonder whether my dreamer's heart is ready for what comes next. His next words hit me like thunder. "I have to run. To a board meeting." The cafe's warm haze seemed to shatter in an instant, replaced by a deafening silence that echoed in my chest. I watched his coat swirl as he stood, the lamplight catching the polished leather of his shoes as he moved with purpose. In that moment, the stranger who had sheltered me in the rain revealed a side of himself I never anticipated. The word board meeting echoed in my ears, unfamiliar yet heavy, as though it carried the weight of a hidden world. My heart skipped. I had imagined him a fellow traveler, maybe a businessman delayed by the storm, but not someone who commanded boardrooms. He buttoned the cuff of his sleek jacket with calm precision. His presence shifted, no longer just a stranger, but someone who belonged to decisions larger than anything I could picture. For a breath, I felt small, my damp sketches paling beside his aura of command. He glanced at my portfolio, fingers brushing its edge almost reverently. "I'm overseeing the biggest expansion project in my company's history," he said. "Sustainable urban living. It could reshape entire skylines." His words flowed with energy, confidence vibrating in every syllable. A strange mixture rose inside me: exhilaration, disbelief, fear. Moments ago, I confessed my dream of designing spaces that connected people. Now here was a man, speaking of projects that echoed my visions on a scale I could scarcely imagine. Could this be coincidence, or something closer to fate? For a flicker, my mind painted a fantasy. Us in a high-rise office, sketching, debating, building. My designs transformed into living installations, rooftop gardens, community murals, my name alongside his in glossy press releases. The dream dazzled me, yet doubt clawed at my chest. Who am I compared to him? Just a barista with sketches in a worn portfolio. He must have read my hesitation. His gaze softened, and he leaned closer. "I've been searching for someone with perspective unclouded by convention." "That's what you have." His words sank into me, disarming my disbelief. My hands trembled. Could I dare believe him? My sketches suddenly felt alive, no longer fragments of a private world, but blueprints for possibilities. Then he reached into his jacket and slid an envelope across the table. Its embossed seal shimmered faintly under the cafe light. "Open it," he urged. My fingers shook as I peeled it open. Inside was a card, gilded in gold lettering. Guest speaker, Carter Industries Innovation Summit. I froze, staring at my name etched in elegant script. My breath faltered. He watched me with quiet intensity, as though waiting for me to step into a destiny he already believed I could carry. The cafe's sounds blurred. Rain pounded the windows. Thunder rolled. But all I heard was the rush of blood in my ears. For the first time, my dream didn't feel impossible. It felt like an invitation. "You'll stand beside me," he said gently, touching my hand for emphasis. His touch anchored me, his confidence wrapping around me like the umbrella had hours earlier. This is sudden, I know, but opportunities don't wait. Emotion surged, part fear, part wild excitement. I don't know what to say," I whispered. "Say yes," he replied with a calm smile, retrieving his coat, movements measured, steady. "Say you'll make something extraordinary with me." I stared at him, at the envelope, at the storm raging outside. My world had shifted. This wasn't just chance. It was a crossroad. Just as I was about to accept his invitation, his phone buzzed again, louder this time, and he glanced down to see his assistant's name flashing on the screen. "Mr. Carter, the press is waiting," came the muffled voice before he swiftly silenced the call, his jaw tightening with the weight of expectation. The cafe's lights seemed to dim, and I realized that behind his offer lay a world of scrutiny, deadlines, and public spotlight. Realities that could either propel me to heights I never imagined or shatter the fragile dream we had so quickly built. My heart pounded as I searched his face for reassurance, wondering if the man who had sheltered me in the rain was prepared to guide me through the storm of his own making. As thunder rolled across the city skyline, I sat poised on the edge of decision, knowing that whatever I chose next would redefine the course of my life forever. In that instant, the friendly stranger fades, and the CEO emerges. One moment, he was the gentleman who shared his umbrella and laughter in the rain. The next, he was a force of nature commanding unseen realms of power. The cafe's cozy warmth evaporates, replaced by a current of authority so intense it crackles between us like static electricity. I realize I'm no longer with the man who sought shelter from a storm. I'm seated across from someone whose decisions shape storms of their own. The shift happened so quickly I almost doubted my senses. Just moments earlier, he had smiled at my designs with genuine warmth. But now, as his phone vibrated, everything about him hardened. He answered with clipped precision, voice steady and authoritative. "James, the North Tower projections," he demanded. "I want figures by morning. No excuses." The firmness in his tone silenced even the hum of the espresso machine. My heart raced as I listened, realizing I was glimpsing a side of him reserved for boardrooms and power brokers. His posture straightened, his jaw set with practiced command. The stranger who had laughed with me over spilled sugar was gone. In his place sat a man whose words could redirect millions. The air around him seemed to hum with restrained energy. He ended the call with a curt, "Thank you," slid the phone into his jacket, and exhaled slowly. The transformation back to calm companion was startling, but not complete. His eyes, though softened, carried a weight I hadn't seen before. I clutched my cup, struggling to reconcile the two versions of him. "Are you okay?" I asked, the words trembling out. He gave a faint, wry smile. "Just a reminder of who I have to be." His gaze shifted, almost wistful. Sometimes I wish I could leave that mask at the door. His honesty pierced me. For a moment I saw not just the CEO, but the man beneath, someone burdened by roles that demanded too much. Then he unfolded a sleek document from his jacket and placed it on the table. The company crest gleamed at the top. Pages of clauses, contracts, commitments sprawled across the paper. Non-disclosure agreements, intellectual property rights, exclusivity. The contrast struck me. My sketches scrawled in pencil beside his crisp, unrelenting contracts. His world and mine collided in black and white. I skimmed the clauses, my heart thudding. Each line carried weight: loyalty, silence, sacrifice. It wasn't just a business proposition. It was a binding promise. He didn't pressure me, only watched, eyes steady. The choice was mine. His silence felt louder than any sales pitch. My chest tightened. I remembered his umbrella, his smile, his encouragement. Yet I also remembered the clipped tone of his phone call, the unyielding strength in his commands. Finally, I lifted my gaze and whispered, "I want to know who you are." "All of you," he froze, then leaned closer, resting his hand over mine. His touch was steady, but his voice carried a tremor. "I'm afraid that if you see me without the mask, you won't recognize me." The vulnerability in his words made my throat tighten. Beneath the power, he feared rejection, feared being seen. And I realized that what I asked wasn't small. To know him meant to step into both his storms, the tenderness and the authority. Emboldened by the raw honesty trembling in the corners of his voice, I lifted my hand to brush his knuckles and whispered, "Then let me see." He swallowed, throat working visibly as the cafe's warm light seemed to dim in the hush of our confession. Outside, rain pounded the windows in a frenzied rhythm, as though urging him to decide, shield himself once more or unveil the man behind the suit. His gaze flickered between my eyes and the signed contract lying between us, and I held my breath, heart pounding like thunder. Finally, he exhaled slowly, leaning forward to fold the document with deliberate care, and in that motion, I knew the next words he spoke would change everything. The cafe feels impossibly small when he finally gives me the answer I've been chasing, as though the walls themselves lean in to hear his words. My breath catches on the intake as he inclines his head and acknowledges what I dared only whisper. In that single, quiet nod, the world outside, raindrops against the glass, the hum of the espresso machine, fades into a distant echo. I realize I am no longer simply a barista sharing coffee with a stranger. I am on the threshold of something far greater. His voice drops low, almost intimate, as he admits, "I didn't want my title to define our meeting." The quiet weight in his tone confirms what I suspected. This man is no ordinary stranger. He is the one whose name echoes across skylines, whose decisions ripple through boardrooms. And yet here he sits, confessing it to me like a guarded secret. My heart hammers, torn between awe and disbelief. I see him differently now, not just the man who sheltered me under his umbrella, but someone whose world is built on power, reputation, and expectations I can barely comprehend. Memories flicker in my mind, my tiny studio corner cluttered with pencils and sketch pads, the late nights I wrestled with rejections. All of it feels like prelude to this moment, where my dreams meet the reality of his influence. He studies me carefully, almost as though bracing for my reaction. Will I recoil at the enormity of who he is, or will I lean closer, daring to step across the invisible divide? His expression is unreadable, half challenge, half hope. I grip my latte cup, grounding myself with the familiar warmth. My voice trembles as I whisper, "Then who am I to you?" The question spills out before I can stop it, raw and unguarded. His reply is immediate, steady, almost tender. "You're the woman I met in the rain, whose vision lit up the room more than any chandelier ever could." His words carve a space inside me, reminding me that authenticity, not titles, first drew us together. I push my portfolio toward him, pages worn from years of handling. "This is who I am," I murmur. He opens it carefully, his hands brushing mine, sparking that same electricity I felt when our umbrellas collided. Page by page, he studies my sketches, murals for forgotten neighborhoods, community gardens interlaced with sculpture, playful reimaginings of sterile city plazas. His silence grows heavier with each turn until he finally looks up, eyes bright with conviction. "This isn't just art," he says, voice almost reverent. "It's transformation." A rush of pride surges through me. For so long, I doubted whether my late-night efforts mattered. Yet here, under the amber cafe lights, my work is not only seen, but celebrated by someone whose empire could amplify it. He reaches into his coat and pulls out an embossed envelope. Sliding it across the table, he says, "If you truly want to step into my world, come with me tonight." My hands tremble as I lift the heavy cardstock. The words glimmer under the light. Carter Industries Gala, Guest of Honor. My name is etched there, intertwined with his. The sight takes my breath away. This isn't just a seat at the table. It's an introduction to a world I never dreamed I'd enter. But doubt coils within me. Do I belong there? Can I stand tall among polished investors and glittering elites? The cafe suddenly feels smaller, as though the walls are pressing in with the enormity of choice. He watches my hesitation, leaning closer, his voice softer now. "It's not about them. It's about us. About what we can create if you step forward." I glance from the invitation to his steady gaze. Somewhere deep inside, I know this night is the threshold of no return. My past, My barista apron, my quiet sketches, my fragile confidence, stands behind me. Ahead lies a future where my art could live on walls taller than my imagination. And yet, a whisper of fear lingers. What if I'm consumed by his world? What if my voice is lost in the machinery of his empire? My fingers trace the edges of the envelope, feeling the sharpness of its promise. The rain outside pounds harder, each drop like a drum urging me to decide. In his eyes, I see a reflection of both danger and destiny. The weight of the invitation in my hand feels like the promise of a new life. And yet, I am torn between exhilaration and the fear of stepping onto an unfamiliar stage. Outside, the rain lashes against the windows as though urging me to decide. Embrace this sudden leap or retreat into the safety of what I know. He watches me, eyes soft with expectation, as though my acceptance will redefine us both. My heartbeat thunders in my ears, drowning out the cafe's gentle hum, as I lift my gaze to meet his. In the hush before my answer, I realize that tonight's gala will be the point of no return, and I must choose whether to walk through that door or let this moment slip away forever. Holding that invitation between my fingers, my breath catches in my throat as the engraved letters gleam beneath the cafe's soft glow. The weight of the thick ivory cardstock feels both exhilarating and terrifying, as though I'm cradling a portal to a life I've only dared dream of. In the hush of the moment, the distant rumble of thunder outside seems to still, and every heartbeat drums in my ears like a question demanding an answer. I lift my gaze to his face, searching for reassurance, even as the magnitude of the choice presses down on me. The embossed lettering glitters faintly under the cafe's amber lights, and for a heartbeat I imagine stepping into that glittering ballroom, the chandeliers, the murmuring elites, the air thick with unspoken deals. Yet almost instantly, I recoil into the safety of what I know, my cramped apartment, the hum of the coffee grinder, the comfort of anonymity. My fingers tremble around the invitation. Each stroke of gold ink whispers promises, but it also speaks of risk. Do I dare walk into a room where everyone else seems born to belong? Do I dare place my unpolished dreams beside their polished realities? He leans closer, voice low and sure. I insist you attend, not as an observer, but as my guest. As my partner, his words ripple through me, dismantling excuses before they can form. I can't help but whisper the question that's burning in me. Why me? He meets my gaze without flinching. Because you see what others overlook. Because your art carries truth in every line. Because your vision isn't tamed by the walls of boardrooms. That's exactly what I need. His conviction wraps around me like a shield. I think back to the countless nights hunched over my sketchbook, the sting of rejection letters, the quiet ache of believing I might never be enough. And now, this man, whose influence stretches across cities, is telling me that my vision is not only enough, but essential. Tears prick at my eyes, though I blink them back. The invitation is no longer just an embossed card. It is a threshold, a passageway from the shadows into light. He senses my hesitation, and with a gentle smile, slides his hand across the table until it rests lightly on mine. The gesture steadies me, reminding me that this leap is not one I'd be taking alone. Don't worry about the details, he adds softly. Attire, transport, introductions, I'll arrange it all. All you need to bring is yourself, your voice, your creativity. His words dismantle the final barrier of fear I've clung to. I picture us side by side in that grand foyer, his presence commanding, mine tentative, but undeniable. I see us crossing the marble floor together, not as strangers who met in the rain, but as allies stepping into something larger than either of us alone. Yet even as hope surges, guilt shadows it. What will my friends think? My family? Will they see this as chance or as undeserved luck? Will they think I abandoned the life we built together for a dream spun in stormlight? He seems to sense the battle waging in me. Legacies are born in moments like this, he murmurs. When you say yes, the rest falls into place. His certainty is disarming, his faith in me undeniable. I draw a deep breath, tasting the faint sweetness of coffee still lingering on my lips. The storm outside drums harder, as though echoing my pulse. Every drop seems to chant, "Decide, decide, decide." My fingers brush the edge of my coat pocket where I plan to tuck the invitation. The weight of it feels heavier than paper, like the sum of every risk I've ever avoided, every chance I've let slip. Tonight, I am being asked to take the step that could change everything. My voice comes out steady, though my chest quakes. I'll be there. 8 o'clock. I won't let you down. Relief flickers across his face, quickly replaced by a slow, satisfied smile. He rises, offering his arm as though to lead me through the invisible doorway I've just chosen to cross. The cafe around. Us hums with ordinary life. Clinking cups, murmuring voices. But for me, the world has shifted. With one decision, I've left my old path behind. Ahead lies a ballroom, a storm of opportunity, and a man whose gaze promises both challenge and possibility. Outside, the rain hammers the cafe windows as if heralding the storm of possibility I'm about to walk into. The echo of thunder reverberates in my chest, matching the rapid beat of my heart as I imagine the grand foyer's polished marble underfoot. He rises, coat in hand, and extends his arm as if to guide me through the threshold of the unknown. In that moment, I realize there's no turning back. My choice will redefine not only tonight, but the course of my future. As we step from the cafe's warmth into the storm-drenched night, I brace myself for the gala that awaits, and the new world opening before me. Stepping into the grand ballroom, every eye follows our entrance, the hush of conversation rippling through the crowd like the wake of a passing ship. Towering crystal chandeliers cast rainbows across the polished marble floor, and in that prism of light, I feel both exposed and exalted. He guides me forward, shoulders squared with the confidence of a man born to command attention, yet he leans in close enough for me to catch the soft warmth of his breath. Introduced as his creative ally, my name echoes through the room, and I sense the weight of expectation settling on my shoulders. The ballroom feels like a universe far removed from my world, where silk gowns glide across polished marble, where every laugh hides negotiations, and where glances weigh more than words. I clutch my champagne glass tighter, trying to mask the tremor in my hand. He walks beside me, steady and unshaken. Each introduction he makes, investors, philanthropists, media figures, feels like a spotlight blazing down on me. "This is your name," he says, the visionary behind our new venture. I smile, nod, but inside, a storm churns. Guilt seeps in with every handshake. What about the artists who toiled for years without such a chance? What about my friends back home, still grinding at jobs they hate, while I stand here under chandeliers I never imagined I'd see? He senses my unease and leans closer. "Remember, you belong here." His words carry reassurance but also expectation. I lift my chin and take a slow breath, forcing my steps to match his calm stride. At a quiet alcove, he explains the real purpose of tonight's gala. His words pour out like blueprints, sustainable towers infused with living art, technology breathing life into public spaces, cities reshaped into canvases. I listen, pulse quickening. His vision aligns with my own sketches, ideas I once thought too ambitious to voice. He speaks of my role, not as an assistant or consultant, but as creative director. My responsibility, shaping the artistic integration, leading design teams, and ensuring every building tells a story. My throat tightens at the magnitude of it. I sip the champagne to steady myself. Each bubble bursts like a countdown to change. I picture my old life, The apartment with peeling paint, the barista apron hanging on the wall, the nights of solitude with my sketchbook. The distance between that world and this one feels unbearable. A waiter passes with hors d'oeuvres, and the scent of rosemary and butter makes me dizzy. I step toward the balcony for air, where the city lights stretch endlessly below. He joins me, and under the stars, his words soften. "You've earned this. Don't question what fate placed in your hands. Embrace it." I want to believe him. Yet when he pulls out the sleek leather folio, my chest tightens. Inside is the contract. Midnight blue binding, silver-edged pages, clauses spelled out with the precision of law. I scan the first page. 30 hours minimum per week on site, all intellectual property belonging to Carter Industries, mandatory attendance at stakeholder meetings. Each line demands not just my time, but my identity. My breath catches. Signing this means binding my name, my creativity, my freedom to his empire, the chance of a lifetime, and the cost of everything I've known. He watches me carefully, offering no pressure beyond the weight of his gaze. It's as though he wants me to choose freely, but knows my decision is already half made. Around us, the gala continues. Laughter, music, the soft shuffle of gowns and suits. But for me, the world narrows to the contract before me. My fingers hover above the pen, and in that moment, I feel both the thrill of destiny and the ache of surrender. I think of my family, my friends, the freedom of sketching without deadlines. Will all of that survive if I sign? He steps closer, lowering his voice so only I can hear. Legacies are never free, but this is how they begin. His words linger, sharp and undeniable, like the gleam of the chandelier above us. He places the sleek contract before me, its first clause glimmering under the chandelier light, and I realize that signing this document will bind my dreams to a destiny I can't yet fully comprehend. The ballroom's opulence fades into a blur as I contemplate the weight of the words before me, each promise and restriction carved in ink that feels colder than the storm I once fled. My hand hovers above the pen, trembling with the knowledge that one stroke will redefine not only my career, but the very essence of who I am as an artist. Outside, the distant thunder of the city's skyline seems to echo the thunder in my chest, as though urging me toward a choice whose repercussions will ripple far beyond this glittering night. In the hush before my decision, I search his eyes for reassurance, knowing that the moment I sign will forever blur the line between my past and the uncharted world he's inviting me to inhabit. My eyes scan the contract's dense clauses, each line rattling through my mind. Non-compete agreement binding me to his company's orbit for years. Ironclad NDAS sealing my lips for every whispered idea. Relocation requirements that would uproot me from the only home I've ever known. The inked demands flash before me in the cafe's soft light, as if daring me to step back. And yet, they pulse with the promise of everything I've ever wanted. Each requirement feels like a sacrifice of my past. Friendships forged over late-night sketch sessions, the safety net of my family's modest neighborhood, the comfort of routines I've relied on since childhood. And yet, in the margins of those stipulations, I catch glimmers of possibility, an invitation to build something that matters, on a scale I've only dared sketch in my dreams. The leather folio lies open before me, its pages edged in silver. Each clause feels like both an anchor and a ladder, heavy, but lifting me toward something unimaginable. I linger on the relocation clause. Moving to New York would mean leaving my family's Sunday dinners, the streets I grew up sketching, the cafe where I first dared to show my art. Could I abandon those roots for skyscrapers and boardrooms? He leans closer, sensing my hesitation. Your life will change, he says quietly, but I'll handle the logistics, housing, travel, support. What I need is your creativity, your courage. His voice steadies me, but fear still gnaws at me. What if I lose myself in this partnership? What if my art becomes numbers on a spreadsheet, stripped of its soul. I flip through my mental scrapbook. My first gallery rejection. The long nights sketching on scraps of paper. My mother's voice telling me I was meant for more. Maybe this is the more she always believed in. The next clause bites deeper. Intellectual property rights. Every idea I create under this contract will belong to Carter Industries. The thought stings like betrayal of my own identity. Yet, in the same moment, I picture my murals not hidden in sketchbooks, but living on skyscrapers, my designs woven into the city itself. He notices the flicker in my eyes. Ownership isn't just about credit, he murmurs. It's about impact. Do you want your work to live only on paper, or to shape skylines? His challenge lingers, undeniable. My chest tightens with conflict. I imagine my family's pride if they saw my name attached to something monumental. I imagine children walking through plazas I designed, communities breathing in spaces I helped build. Still, guilt presses hard. What about my family? I whisper. He meets my gaze with calm certainty. They'll be proud. They'll visit. You won't lose them. You'll bring them into a bigger world. He slides a page marked Family Support toward me. Furnished housing, travel allowances, even provisions for loved ones to attend major events. My throat tightens. He's thought of everything. I draw a shaky breath and glance at the pen resting on the table. One signature could erase the distance between dream and reality, but it could also erase the safety of everything I know. He reaches across, thumb brushing lightly against my jaw, grounding me. Legacies aren't built in comfort, he says softly. They're built in risk. I chose you because you imagine beauty where others see ruins. His faith floods me with courage. I picture unveiling a mural on a tower, cameras flashing, headlines carrying my name. I see children running their hands across walls that respond with color and light. For the first time, I believe it could happen. Yet a voice inside me whispers of sleepless nights, relentless deadlines, the pressure of being tethered to a titan's vision. The price is high, so high. My fingers close around the pen, but I stop just before the tip touches paper. My heart is pounding too hard, my mind still spinning. I look up, meeting his eyes with trembling resolve. I need one more day, I whisper. His expression softens into a smile of understanding. He gathers the folio, closes it with a snap, and tucks it under his arm. One day, he says simply, but no more. I look up, voice trembling with equal parts resolve and fear, and whisper, I need one more day to decide. His eyes soften with understanding as he nods, gathering the contract and binder into the folio that now feels like both a promise and a test. Outside, the rain begins to taper off, the storm's final echoes stamping the threshold between who I was and who I might become. In the hush that follows, I sense the gravity of the path before me, every choice laid bare, every consequence looming. As I step away to clear my mind, I realize that by dawn, I will either sign away my old life or turn my back on the grandest opportunity I've ever known. Alone in my tiny flat, the blur of city lights beyond my window seems to mock every doubt that twists in my chest like bitter wind. The faded wallpaper and the single bed pushed against the wall feel both comforting and confining, as though this room contains the full measure of my past, and now asks what I'm willing to sacrifice. I pace the narrow strip of carpet, each step echoing in the hush of midnight, replaying his offer like a mantra that alternates between promise and peril. In the dim glow of my desk lamp, every shadow whispers questions I can scarcely bear to confront. Do I really have what it takes? My desk is littered with sticky notes scrawled in hurried ink. Global platform versus independence. Financial stability versus creative freedom. Family closeness versus relocation. Each note curls at the edges, as if weary of my indecision. I press my forehead against the cold window pane, staring at the rain-slick city. Neon signs blur into streaks of light, mocking the storm inside me. This room once felt safe. Now it feels like a cage. My phone buzzes with a voice memo. I press play, and my mother's voice fills the silence. Sweetheart, don't ever think you're not capable of greatness. You've worked too hard to stop now. The world needs your fire. Her words crack through my fear, leaving me trembling with gratitude and guilt. I picture her kneading dough in our small kitchen, her tired hands shaping love into every loaf. She always believed I was meant for more. Can I honor her faith by stepping into a future that terrifies me? I pull my sketchbook onto the bed, spreading pages of murals, rooftop gardens, community centers reborn. Each piece feels alive with the essence of who I am. They remind me why I started creating in the first place, to change environments, to spark hope. A storm rumbles outside, thunder rolling through the city. My heart echoes it. I flip a page and scrawl 2 headings: reasons to say yes, reasons to say no. Under yes, I write global stage, impact, resources, legacy. Under no, I write loss of independence, distance from family, endless pressure. The words blur as tears drip onto the paper. The clock ticks past midnight. I clutch my mug, cold now but still familiar, and wonder if I am strong enough to carry both my dreams and the weight of his world. My phone pings, a message from his assistant. Decision? Just one word, but it feels like a demand from destiny itself. I hover over the screen, my fingers shaking. In my mind, his voice echoes. I chose you because you see possibilities where others see obstacles. I inhale sharply, tasting the metallic edge of fear and the sweet burn of hope. My thumb taps the keyboard. Slowly, deliberately, I type, yes. The word glows on the screen, small yet seismic. With one tap, I send it. In that instant, I feel as though I've stepped off a cliff, not falling, but flying. My chest fills with something fierce, something alive. Relief floods in, mingled with terror, but also an undeniable thrill. I've chosen. A second ping. Another message, this time from him. Welcome aboard, partner. Beneath it, just a raindrop emoji and folded hands. Simple, yet enough to steady me. I smile through my tears, clutching my sketchbook to my chest. Tomorrow I'll walk into his headquarters. Tomorrow I'll sign. Tonight, I let myself savor the last quiet hours of who I used to be. The rain's rhythm against the glass becomes a lullaby, a reminder that storms birth new beginnings. I pocket my phone and tuck my sketchbook under my arm, heart thrumming with a fierce new rhythm that matches the rain's steady drum. The room feels simultaneously too small and infinitely vast as I prepare to leave behind what I know for a world that beckons with possibility. Tomorrow, I will step into his headquarters and sign the contract that will bind my creative soul to his vision. But tonight, I savor the last quiet moments before dawn breaks on everything I've ever dreamed. The city lights outside pulse like distant beacons, guiding me toward a future I chose with a single, trembling word. Yes. Climbing into his sleek black car, I feel the weight of every word I just sent crash into my chest, like the first thunderclap of a gathering storm. The door shuts with a muted click, sealing me inside a cocoon of anticipation and doubt that hums through the leather seats beneath me. He greets me with a proud smile that lights the interior like sunrise breaking through dark clouds, and in that moment, I realize there's no turning back. When he hands me a meticulously pressed suit in the back seat, its fabric cool and crisp in my trembling hands, I know he means for me to step fully into this world he's built. The fabric slides through my fingers, heavy with meaning. I slip the jacket on, its tailored fit hugging me with precision that feels almost predestined. My reflection in the tinted glass startles me. Not the struggling artist, not the barista, but someone stepping into an entirely new role. He watches me through the rearview mirror. "You look the part," he says, and though his tone is calm, his eyes shine with pride. The words settle over me like armor. The city streaks past the windows, rain carving rivulets across neon lights. I feel suspended between two worlds, the familiar streets fading behind me, the glass and steel tower drawing me forward. He opens a folder, outlining the day ahead. Investors, journalists, a preview gala. Each word drops like a stone in my stomach. Yet when he says, "You'll present the design vision," I nod, because part of me has been waiting for this stage all my life. My heart races as I rehearse lines silently. I'm your name, co-founder and creative director. The title tastes strange, almost forbidden, yet it steadies me. The car halts before a tower of glass, its spire piercing the storm clouds above. My breath catches. This is not a visit. This is an arrival. We step into the lobby, marble gleaming under chandeliers, guards greeting him with deferential nods. My name is spoken alongside his for the first time, and I feel the world shift with it. In the mirrored elevator, I see us side by side. His posture is effortless authority. Mine is tense, but determined. 42nd floor, he says, and as the numbers climb, so does my pulse. The doors slide open to a corridor of glass walls and polished wood. My name gleams on a plaque outside a vast office. Carter and your name, co-founders. For a moment, I can't breathe. He gestures for me to step inside first. The office is a panorama of sky and skyline, filled with models of towers and digital screens looping our designs. My sketches, once confined to paper, live here in glowing render. He places a nameplate before me, co-founder and creative director. The brass letters shine beneath the recessed lights. My hands shake as I trace the engraving. This is no longer a dream, but there's no time to linger. Investors' roundtable in 10 minutes, he reminds me. My throat tightens. I've never pitched beyond a café table, never spoken to people whose decisions move millions. He places a steady hand on my shoulder. You don't need to be anyone else. Just be the artist who sees possibility where others see walls. His words anchor me. Minutes later, we step into the boardroom. A semicircle of sharp suits waits, their eyes cool, expectant. The air hums with judgment. My knees want to buckle, but I straighten, remembering every night I fought doubt to keep sketching. He nods to me. The vision is yours. Show them. My voice wavers on the first word, but steadies as the renderings glow behind me. Interactive murals, breathing green walls, light-responsive facades. I describe not just structures, but experiences. To my shock, pens pause mid-scribble, gazes sharpen, heads tilt with interest. They are listening. Not to him. To me. Questions fire back. Costs, logistics, timelines. My pulse hammers, but I answer each, weaving creativity with practicality, art with data. I am no longer barista, no longer dreamer. I am co-founder. When I finish, silence lingers before applause ripples through the room. The sound is thunderous in my chest. He catches my eye, pride written clearly across his face. We step out together. My legs tremble, but my spirit soars. I've taken the stage and held it. As the clock ticks down to our first joint appearance, the elevator behind me hums open, and my name blazes on a digital display in bold letters, announcing our arrival to expectant executives already gathered inside. The soft murmur of conversation halts as heads turn toward the doorway, eyes alighting on the nameplate that carries my name as proudly as his. I feel the full weight of every promise made and every risk taken, folding into my chest like the hush before a symphony's opening note. He places a steadying hand on my shoulder, silent encouragement in his touch, as we step forward into the room that awaits our vision, and the world beyond. Applause echoes through the high-ceilinged hall as I step onto the stage, heat rising in my cheeks from both the lights above and the roar of approval washing over us. For a breathless moment, the world narrows to two silhouettes, his beside me, mine at the microphone, angled toward the sea of expectant faces. The banners behind us ripple with our shared logo, a testament to the partnership we forged in a storm of rain and ambition. My heart pounds a triumphant rhythm as I prepare to unveil the vision we've nurtured from scattered sketches into a blueprint for revolution. I grip the microphone tighter, steadying my breath. "Good afternoon," I begin, my voice shaky at first, but carried by adrenaline. "I'm Your Name, co-founder and creative director." Saying it aloud feels like staking a claim in a new world. The slides flicker to life behind me, living murals shifting with daylight, facades glowing with kinetic light, green towers breathing with air-purifying walls. Each design is both art and survival, a blend of hope and innovation. The crowd leans forward, pens poised, cameras flashing. For once, I don't shrink under their gaze. I rise with it. I move from vision to numbers, projected ROI, community impact, environmental benefits. My words weave artistry with practicality, exactly as he taught me. Confidence builds with every nod from the audience. When I finish, silence hovers for a beat before the hall erupts in applause. The sound surges through me like a wave, and for the first time, I feel I belong, not only in my own dreams, but in theirs too. Backstage, he clasps my shoulder, whispering, "You were brilliant." The words ground me even as my heart still races. I smile, knowing his belief has been the constant wind behind my sails. We retreat to his office, high above the city. The room glows with possibility. Whiteboards filled with timelines, swatches pinned to mood boards, 3D models scattered across the table. He pours us glasses of water instead of champagne. "We build legacies with clarity, not intoxication," he says, sliding mine across. His discipline sharpens my own resolve. "Tell me everything," he insists. "Every sketch, every idea you've tucked away." His tone leaves no room for hesitation. For the first time, I lay it all out. Concepts for interactive plazas, mural festivals, rooftop sanctuaries. He listens intently, noting each with equal weight. Hours pass in a blur of collaboration. We sketch on glass walls, draft documents, and laugh at moments of overlap when our ideas collide perfectly. The energy is electric, fusing art and strategy into something larger than either of us alone. At one point, I falter. What if I'm not enough? The fear slips out unguarded. He leans closer, eyes burning with conviction. "You are more than enough. You are the reason this vision has soul." His words silence the inner critic I've fought for years. Together, we draft the blueprint for our first pilot project. A public square reborn with vertical gardens, sensor-driven murals, and spaces for communities to gather. My sketches transform into actionable steps under his structure. It feels like alchemy, dreams turning to stone and steel. Night deepens around us, but neither of us notice. The city outside twinkles like a constellation of witnesses, reflecting back the fire of our ambition. Finally, he pulls out 2 business cards, setting them side by side on the polished desk. CEO, Carter Industries, and co-founder and creative director, Your Name. The moment feels ceremonial, a binding vow, written not in contracts, but in shared vision. I trace the letters of my name, embossed in gold. My chest swells with awe and fear in equal measure. This is real. He meets my gaze, fingers brushing mine as they linger on the card. "From here forward, we're equals," he says firmly. "What we build together." He slides the cards across the table toward me, his fingers lingering in a final touch of solidarity, as if sealing both our fates with that gentle press. Outside, the city lights gleam like stars drawn into our orbit, bearing witness to the venture we've baptized in ambition and trust. My gaze flicks between his eyes and the embossed names, each letter shimmering with the weight of responsibility and possibility. A final message pings on my phone from his assistant. "Welcome to the board, Ms. Your Name. First meeting in 1 hour." As I tuck the card into my jacket pocket, I realize that our true work begins now, and the world is waiting to see whether we can turn vision into reality. I turn my new business card over in my hand again and again, the embossed letters catching the dim lamplight while thunder rumbles outside the glass walls of his office, sounding not like a warning, but like applause for a new beginning. The card feels heavier than paper should, as though it carries the weight of my future, a responsibility I both crave and fear, and each time my thumb drags across the bold title, co-founder and creative director, a surge of disbelief ripples through me. Rain hammers the windows with relentless force, streaking the cityscape into blurred rivers of light. But inside this cocoon of glass and steel, the storm feels symbolic, a mirror of the turbulence within me, and I can't shake the realization that no matter the weather, my life has already crossed into uncharted territory. Across the desk, he watches me silently, his gaze both steady and searching, as though he knows the storm inside me is louder than the one outside. I set the card carefully on the desk beside my battered sketchbook, the two objects like bookends of my life. One carried the story of where I came from, ink smudges, curled pages, and relentless nights of dreaming. The other carried the promise of where I was going, a destiny too vast to comprehend. Side by side, they looked like a before and after portrait of my soul. He leaned closer, tapping the laptop screen where our proposal draft still glowed. "Phase 1 is strong," he said, his voice calm, reassuring. "But it's just the beginning. What we build next will set the tone for everything," his words felt, both inspiring and terrifying. My mind raced back through the whirlwind of the last few weeks. The stormy night where we first shared an umbrella, the quiet café where he'd noticed my portfolio, the gala where my name had been spoken aloud for the first time as someone who mattered. All of it had brought me here, to this office, to this partnership, to this moment. The hours passed in a blur of planning. We spread notes, sketches, and models across the desk until the entire surface looked like a mosaic of possibilities. He mapped out budgets and investor timelines. I countered with ideas for murals that breathed with light, for gardens that doubled as art, for structures that told stories. Our synergy felt undeniable, two halves of a storm pushing toward the same horizon. Every time doubt stirred in me, he cut through it with clarity. Every time his strategy grew too rigid, my imagination loosened the walls. Together, we formed balance. Yet beneath the momentum, my chest carried a quiet fear. What if I failed? What if my ideas couldn't hold against the weight of boardroom expectations? The thought pressed on me until I finally whispered, "Do you ever worry we're aiming too high?" He didn't hesitate. "Of course," he admitted, leaning forward, elbows on the table. "But I've learned that the higher you aim, the more room you give yourself to soar. If we fall short, we still land further than we would have by staying safe." His confidence seeped into me like warmth from a fire. I remembered my mother's voice telling me I was capable of more than I believed. Remembered the sticky notes of pros and cons scattered across my desk at home. Those reminders anchored me, urging me not to shrink back now. As the night deepened, exhaustion tugged at me, but I refused to stop. I wanted to see this blueprint finished. He poured another round of coffee, the bitter steam curling between us. At one point, our hands brushed when we reached for the same pen, and though we didn't speak of it, the spark lingered in the silence. By dawn, the rain softened into a drizzle. Our proposal stood complete, an outline not just of buildings and art, but of a vision that fused our two worlds into one. Reading it aloud, I felt tears prick my eyes. This wasn't just his empire anymore. It was ours. He leaned back, stretching with a tired smile. "This is only the start," he murmured. "We've proven we can weather storms together. Now we'll see if we can build something that lasts." I looked at him, really looked, past the CEO mask, past the confidence, into the man who had once offered me shelter without knowing my name. And I realized that the greatest gift of all wasn't the partnership or the title, it was the trust. I gathered my sketchbook, sliding the business card carefully inside its cover, binding past and future together. Outside, the clouds parted just enough for the first streak of sunlight to spill across the city. It painted the wet streets in silver, as if blessing the path ahead. I lay my pen down, flexing my tired fingers, and glance at him across the desk. His expression has softened, the hard edges of CEO precision giving way to something warmer, almost intimate. He leans closer, elbows resting on the polished wood, rain tapping rhythmically against the glass behind him like an insistent drumbeat. His voice lowers, husky with exhaustion and conviction, as though he's about to share a secret only meant for me. "Ready for our next storm?" he whispers, the words carrying both promise and challenge, and I feel my heart lurch at the enormity of what lies ahead. As the dawn light breaks through the clouds, spilling silver across the horizon, I realize the true test of our partnership is only beginning, and the world is already waiting to see if we can weather it together. If you've been swept away by this story, hit the like button to let me know. And don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss our next adventure. Drop a comment below sharing your favorite moment or how you'd handle the rain-soaked twist, and share this video with friends who love a powerful tale as much as you do. Your support fuels every step of our journey together.